Hey everyone, how's it going? I am Xeracon and I am back once again. Today I want to talk about something that's it's quite interesting. So Denuvo is coming to the PlayStation 5. And if you don't know what Denuvo is, it is a anti-piracy, anti-cheating software. It's a DRM that is used on PC. Although apparently it was used on PS4, but it was only like slightly used, maybe like a couple games and whatnot. But it is a DRM that is notorious. That is notorious to PC gamers because it hampers performance. We can't, completely use the full potential of our hardware for games that utilize that. And then it also, uh, for the games that have the anti-tamper feature, it has root access to our PC, so it is able to like get into the, I guess the most personal levels of our PCs, like how it functions and whatnot. Um, so yeah, so that's coming to PS5. Now, it was also mentioned that it isn't the anti-tamper version of Denuvo; it is the anti-cheat version, um, which is being used, and then also it is optional. However, I think that it does set a bad precedence because sure, it's just anti cheat that is optional, but what if it is they later on decide to use anti tamper and that is not optional? Because for one thing, if you have a if you have a game that you're playing and say, hey, I want to, maybe just uh, I don't know. Say you went out somewhere and you brought your PS5 with you and you were gonna play a game with it. You would then, if the game has anti-tamper, I can't remember what the conditions are exactly for it, but I think you have to be connected to the internet i- at least between a 3 day period or maybe it's like a 7 day period max that you can go without being connected to the internet. But I don't think you have to be connected to the internet in order to play the games, but I could be wrong. If it is, then like that's how bad it can be. But even if it's not, like you always have to be connected to the internet. If you have to be worried and concerned about playing a single player game because you're not connected to the internet, like that's a horrible thing to do. I mean, and sure, you might say, well, I'm always connected to the internet, but what if there are times, situations where you aren't connected to the internet, or like say your internet's down? Because I mean, heck, that has happened to me where my internet's down, and sometimes it's the worst times because I gotta submit a paper or something, but it does happen. And also, it's also a bit finicky because it takes away more control of what you have as the consumer because I like to push. If you have a console, you should buy physical copies because, sure, it is more convenient for the digital. However, you have more control over your games. And yes, with these bigger games that do have major patches, you are essentially in that aspect paying just for the license key, the physical license key to play those games. But if you have a game that can play the games without a patch and say 20 years down the line where you don't have access to those servers and patches and whatnot, you would still be able to play the games with your physical copy. But you don't have that option with digital. And then even and if digital rights media is used for with Denuvo for those games, even if you have a physical copy, they can still take away your access to those games, which I think is completely horrible and it's a stupid practice and it's something that I don't want to happen. Again, this isn't the situation we're in, but it's a situation that can come, and that's what concerns me, and whatnot. Now, it does. Now, this situation does also tell us something else, which I think is quite interesting, and it's the fact that it's being used in the first place because there is that myth that it's that it's rare for people to cheat on console. Um, and that like a lot of people cheat on PC, and yes, there are cheaters on PC. However, if there were barely any cheaters on console, why would Denuvo be implemented for anti-cheat? You're not gonna just implement a feature that, or at least present that option of a feature if there isn't a reason to use it. But I do want to end on one thing, and this is something that I've mentioned before, and I will continue to mention this whenever it's brought up. This is specifically for PC gamers. If you went, if you went and were vocal about Doom Eternal having anti-tamper, but you went and you bought Near Automata, Persona 4 Golden, Monster Hunter World, if you are going to buy Near Replicant that uses anti-tamper, then you are a hypocrite because you were so gung ho about Doom Eternal, like, oh, this shouldn't have Denuvo anti-tamper, but then you are going and you're supporting these games, then you're a hypocrite. Now, if you went and you bought the I won't say buy. If you went and you got that high sales version, yeah, then yeah, that's a completely different thing. And in fact, you won't even have to worry about Denuvo. So like, kudos to you. But if you went and you bought those games and whatnot, then you, like I said, are a hypocrite because you went and you supported uh, those games, and yet you didn't, and yet you made a stinker about Doom Eternal. But that's gonna do it for today, everyone. I'm not trying to make this a mountain out of a molehill, but I think this is something that that PlayStation owners should be just slightly concerned. And then it'll also be interesting to see like what happens in the future because I don't think that Xbox has, or at least not to my knowledge, it doesn't use Denuvo at all. But that will be interesting to see as well, like what happens on that end. So until next time, everyone, I am Xeracon signing off. Have a good one.